Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy. Today I have a piece of this. I'm not sure what it is. This comes to us from Peter Yohann. Peter contacted me. He lives in my area, half-hour away or so, and wanted me to come by and take a look at his shop, and he wanted to share some of his bounty of wood with me. And so I went over there and we chatted for an hour or so, and Peter gave me a whole bunch of wood. I think this is oak. We talked about a lot of different varieties of wood that he has, and I think this is oak. It's got a lot of surface checking. And of course it's going to be an end grain turning. You can see I've marked out a circle here. This is just under 13 inches. So let me get over to the bandsaw. I'll do this camera off. So I'll be back when it's time to mount this up on the lathe. Stand by. Well, I drilled a center hole for my woodworm screw, but as is sometimes the case when you're dealing with end grain, it wouldn't hold. So I got out this faceplate ring. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these. I think all the chuck manufacturers sell them. It's the same as installing a faceplate, but you don't have to take off your chuck. So it has a dovetail interior right here, a dovetail lip. So you just put it on the chuck like this and open up the jaws just like you were using a recess on the bottom of a bowl. And that's just like having a faceplate on there. Now this one only holds 4 screws. It's still end grain, so I don't know that those screws are going to hold, but they seem to go in nice and snug. So then I'll just bring up my tailstock. Everything else would be normal. Spin this up a little bit so that it can find its own center. Apply a little pressure, lock it up. We should be good to go. We'll flatten off the bottom first. This is going to be kind of a tough turn, at least for me, to turn end grain. Oh, and by the way, this does not seem to be oak, and I don't know what it does seem to be. It doesn't look familiar to me. I should have shown you the edge. Birch, maybe? My 5/8 inch standard grind bowl gouge seems to be fairly sharp, so we'll go with that. I'll get my mask and face shield on. We'll be turning at about 550 RPM. Okay, let's give it a go. Yeah, I'm going to say birch at this point. It's still a guess, but kind of looks like it. This is not going smoothly or quickly at all. I think what I'm going to do is move my tool rest over here and grab my square carbide tool and come in this way. I think that might be a little quicker. We'll see how that works. Should be able to pick the speed up now. Oh yeah, there's 1,000 RPM. So I'm just going to take nibbles from this way. Can't really tell from the end grain what it is. Still not sure it's birch, but could be. Kind of looks like. Well, that's close enough to round and in balance that I can start shaping this outer side. About 1,200 RPM. Maybe if I put my face mask down, I won't get stuff in my eyes. Ow. I gotta grab a glove. That is hot. Man. What'd you get me into here, Peter? This is some tough stuff. I don't know. I don't have a particular shape in mind yet. I'm just kind of playing with it to see how it turns, what direction I gotta go, that sort of thing. Well, that just tore up the whole top edge real good. Big chunks out of here. I kind of knew it would. I should have stopped. I didn't. Well, I think it has potential to be pretty, but probably needs someone besides me to know how to do it. I'm going to try approaching from this angle for no other reason than to use the other half of my gouge. I'm pushing really hard on that gouge, way harder than normal. Probably should go sharpen up again. I'm gonna have to clean this edge up. Look at how far it tore out there. Not sure the best way to do this either. Whoa, that ain't the best way. That hurt like hell, I'll tell you. It just hit my hand, but it hurt. I don't know how to approach this. How embarrassing is that? Well, I just don't do these every day, you know. End grain, thin edge like this, like I'm dealing with, which is my doing, but I thought I would just sort of square it off here, that it doesn't want to be squared off. I suppose these checks aren't helping any. I'll blame it on that, okay? But there's lots of them, and they come down here 3/4 of an inch. These over here were bigger. That's 1.25 inches. That's an inch. Maybe I should work on flattening off the top and try and get rid of those checks. I don't see any down here. I'm just at a loss. I just don't know. I don't know how to do this. I'm sure somebody's going to tell me. I'm just about scared to go in straight in here with my carbide tool and flatten off the top the way this is chipping out like that. But I don't see that I have any choice. I don't, like I say, I don't see any check marks below here, below these other big ones. This 1.25 inch one, there's nothing below that. So I might have to reduce the diameter to clear down there while I'm flattening off the top. It's just a puzzle. Sorry to make you wait through it all. Well, I wasn't going to show you this part because mostly because I didn't want to put the camera in harm's way, but it's actually working pretty good. I'm working the front down and this front edge right here, or the side edge. I'm working the top and the side edge down a little bit at a time. You can see I still have a lot left here, but it's working pretty good. I'm just taking little nibbles with my carbide tool, just getting below all those check marks. So since it's working pretty good, I decided I could put you over here. I guess I could have done that in the first place, but I'm not that smart. And I'll show you a little bit of what I'm doing. The front part, which you're not going to see, is exactly the same as when I flattened off the bottom. So I guess it's just the check marks that are causing the real issue. I couldn't quite figure it out. Boy, just wanted to fall apart on me. And you should see the dust. It isn't even little chips, it's dust. It's dust. Alright, I don't see any more whoopsies, and I don't see any check marks coming through here. There's still some down here. So they came up from the bottom and went down from the top, but they stop before they get to the middle is the way it looks. So That's kind of a good thing. I gotta take a break. I'm so full of dust and chips down my shirt. I'll be back. Okay, I'm gonna go back to working on the profile here with my bowl gouge. Like I said, there's still some checking in this area. I don't really see any in this area, so it doesn't go much deeper than this. There is still just one or two little check marks out here at the edge, but I'm just gonna work my way probably from this direction down this direction, trying to develop some kind of a shape. Just a little over 1200 RPM. It's a very slight OG shape. It's not dramatic. Sure is hard, and I'm pretty dang sure it's birch. I've turned birch before, and sure enough, it's hard. Okay, well, let's leave that for a minute and work on a tenon. Use this diamond point tool to straighten up the sides of the tenon. And that's good. So I'm going to go sharpen up. I'm going to try my scraper. I like it. Sure hate turning with gloves. And don't yell at me, safety police. I know you're not supposed to wear gloves. You try this. You try it without gloves. Hot stuff. But I couldn't feel it with those gloves on there. Yeah, I think we're good. Let me clean up and we're ready to sand. Okay, well, the sanding is making quite a difference here. It was really rough, and that roughness is gone just with the 80 grit. I'm not done. You can see I've still got a couple of spots here, but it's really making quite a difference. So starting with 80 grit, I'll work up through at least 400. I'll alternate between reverse, which is what I'm doing now, and forward, and I'll bring it back when it's time to put some finish on here. I'm starting to have some hope. Well, we're going with sanding sealer and then shellac. I'm really hoping this is going to bring out the grain. I just don't do that many end grain that I can remember what to expect. I sanded up through 1200 grit just because I could. Being end grain, I assume it's soaking this up pretty well, even though I sanded so fine. It doesn't really seem to be soaking it up. I expected it to. We'll be back in a while. See ya. Well, I got a great finish on the bottom side of this. It's just real nice. One coat of sanding sealer, 2 coats of shellac. It's very smooth. It looks great. I turned it around and I can now see better this now that it's on this side. I didn't have the right angle before. And there's still a lot of cracks in here, just a lot of cracks. And this started out at about 13-inch diameter, and now we're down to 11 inches. I really don't want it to go any smaller. Some of these bigger cracks wrap over the bottom side to about a ½ an inch down. So I'm afraid I might lose some more diameter. I don't know. We'll just get at it with our 5/8 inch standard grind bowl gouge, mask and face shield on, 1500 RPM. Guess I'm going to have to sharpen up again. I have these bead cutting tools that I got years ago. Kind of forgot I even had them. I've got, it's a set of 4. They came from Penn State Industries. And so I thought I'll try it, and I didn't have the camera on, but I'm not done either. I'll show you how this is working. It actually seems to be working pretty well. Well, I gotta say, that works pretty good. And then I thought, well, I'm gonna have to come in here and get rid of this little groove that is made. And then of course I was gonna start on this side and go straight down, but I actually kind of like that. So maybe I'll leave it on both sides, or maybe I'll just leave it on this one side and go down from here. I don't know, but the bead itself looks pretty good. I don't see any problems. No chip out. Gonna slow down my sanding, that's for dang sure. Okay, I did sharpen up my 5/8 inch bowl gouge. We'll get back to that. Okay, decision time. Do we like it on the inside or just on the outside? It's another one of those artsy things, and I'm no good at that. I don't want to get too thin here and then not have any support to cut it away. Does that look better? Or does that look better? I can't hear you. Well, I guess because I don't know and I can't decide, I guess I'll leave it. Once it's gone, it's gone. Can't put it back. I'm afraid I'm going to have to get rid of my tailstock here pretty quick. Can't get a good angle anymore. I better check my bottom thickness, huh? Oops. We're about 3/8 of an inch. So we'll take another 1/8 of an inch away off the bottom. Maybe it's time to get rid of this middle, kind of in the way. Remember, this is end grain, so it's a lot slower going, a lot harder going, and boy is this thing hot. Ooh-wee baby. I'm gonna go sharpen up again. Yep, 1/4 inch on the bottom, probably deep enough. Okay, let's scrape it. Time for sanding. Well, sanding is going to be a little problematic because of this bead, or these two beads. I'm going to sand here, and I'm going to sand the inside, and then I'm going to peel the disc off and sand the grooves and sand the beads separately. So it's going to take me a little longer than normal. Yippee. Let me get my mask on. I'll show you how that's going to work. The lathe is spinning at 350 in reverse. Yeah, it's going to be tedious, and I'll do that for every grit. I'm starting with 80 grit. I'll work up through what I do. I did 1200 on the bottom side, so I'll do 1200 on the top side. And I'll bring you back when it's time to put some sanding sealer on here. Well, the sanding wasn't quite as bad as I thought it might be, but it did take some time. I sanded to 1500 grit. I think I said 12, but 1500 is what I sanded to. I think I'll need a brush to get in those grooves there, and I'll do that in a minute. Just not used to dealing with end grain like this, and I'm not sure if there's any advantage to it. There's certainly no advantage to it in turning. I will say I kind of like the design I came up with. Again, it was just kind of accidental. Didn't really have anything in mind when I started. Well, except I thought it was going to be a platter, but it turned out to be a little too deep for a platter. So it's a bowl, unless it's a dish. I don't know the difference. Okay, so probably just one coat of sanding sealer again, and 2 coats of shellac. And I'll bring you back here in just a little bit when it's time to turn it around and remove that tenon. See you in a bit. I've mounted a block of wood up in my chuck. I'm going to put a non-slip cloth over that, and then the piece. I'm going to bring my tailstock up. I still have the center hole there for reference. Now these end grain pieces are always a little more difficult to do because the grain itself wants to just kind of break away the smaller and smaller it gets. So I'm going to have to be really careful here because we don't want this letting loose before we're ready for it to. We'll spin this up a little bit, see if it feels like it's centered, and it's pretty dang close. We'll turn the speed up to about 600. And I'll take a 3/8 inch standard grind bowl gouge and just begin to removing that tenon. And I'm just going to take my homemade point tool, and right here where the old tenon was, I'm just going to cut a little groove. Just for a little bit of interest. See if that looks okay. It looks fine. I'm going to turn the speed down here a little because we're getting close. About 400 RPM. And that just has to be small enough so that I can get a swept back gouge in there. So I'm going to switch now to a 3/8 inch swept back gouge. And I'm going to move my tool rest a little closer. And again, keeping in mind that this is end grain and it can break away pretty easily the smaller it gets. So I'm going to turn the speed down to about 200 now to make it a little more controllable. And I'm going to hold the gouge in my right hand with the bevel of the gouge against the bottom of the bowl I'm going to put my left hand on the switch, applying pressure towards the headstock with the gouge. And when that little nub stops turning or breaks away, like that, we'll know we're through. And I just knew it was going to break away, and you can see it caused a little whoopsie there. So that makes my sanding a little bit harder, but definitely doable. And this didn't break all the way away, so I'll take a chisel, clean that up, and then sand up this 2-inch area and finish it up and sign it, and we'll be done. Here it is, one birch end grain bowl in the books. Turned out pretty nice. I really like that bead that I got going on there. There's the bottom all finished up. It is a bit of a guess that it's birch, but I'm pretty sure. I've worked with quite a bit of birch, mostly flat stock, and that's what I think this is. It just seemed to have the characteristics and the coloring of birch. Ended up being 11-inch diameter, 1 3/4 inches deep. I want to thank Peter Yohann for giving this piece to us for all to enjoy. If you like this video, thumbs up please, I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly, I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos about 1 a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. Your comments are always welcome, and I respond to all of them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.